Everyone, am I audible? Okay, fine. So let's start. So just a quick update. So whatever class that we have taken yesterday, so your recording is uploaded over here. So as we have announced in a very beginning that within 24 hours, so we are going to update your recording. So yes, it's already available over here. So for your reference, so if you wanted to revisit all those things, so you can try to go ahead with this recordings, and material is already available over here. And this is the previous class recording, so from the previous batches, and this is your class recording. So fine, let's start with your discussion then. So recurrent neural network, this one, assignment 1, 2. Okay. So yesterday we were talking about a basic of Python, and in that basic we have discussed about like how we can create a different kind of a variable first of all, and we have seen a brief idea and introduction about if statement, if else kind of a statement, and we have seen like what is string, and then how we'll be able to do a concatenation operation with respect to a string. We have seen a brief introduction about a list as well, which is nothing but it's a collection. So in today's class, so again, we are going to continue with the same discussions, and we'll try to explore a few more things with respect to same observation that we have done in today's class. So let's start with this. Okay. So yesterday I was talking about a list, and we have seen that if we have a list, so like how list will try to store a data set within this particular collection, and then how list will be able to like if you wanted to access a data with respect to our indexes, or maybe with respect to some range, how you will be able to access a data. So this is what we have discussed in today's class. Now, so in today's class, so let's try to create one list over here. So suppose if I'm trying to create one list, SUBH, and then like okay, KUMAR, and then maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 8. So this is what we have created. So this is a list that we have by default, so it will be able to understand that, okay, so this is a list element. So if I'm going to check a type of this, so it is going to tell me that it's basically a list for us. So it's not a problem. So this is what we have understood in today's class. Now, so I told you one more thing. So if I have to create a list, so there is a other way as well by which you will be able to create a list by using a function called as list. Now, so if I'll try to check a type of this one, so you will be able to find out that this is also going to give you a list, and this is also going to give you a list. Now, what is the difference between this list and that list? So let's try to understand it. So the list that we have created with the help of a normal square bracket, and a list that we have created with the help of a list as a function. So we will try to understand a difference in between, and we will try to like find out that what is a kind of differences that is there. So suppose in this list, if I'm going to type one string SUDH, so let's suppose if I'm going to type this one, and if I'm going to print this M, so you will be able to find out that inside this list, if I'm going to keep this particular string, so it is going to like scatter this entire string data in a form of a character. So this is going to return you a character of all of those things, a character of all of those things which is available inside this particular string. So this is what it does. Now, so if I have to keep a multiple data inside this list, so let's suppose if I'm trying to keep this data, in this case, it is going to give me an error. So whenever you are trying to accommodate a particular data structure or data set inside this list as a function, so what you are supposed to do is you are supposed to enclose this within a square bracket. If you are talking about a multiple data set, and if you don't want your list to scatter this entire data set into a characters. So if I'm going to keep a data set inside this list as a function in a form of this list itself, so in that case, for sure, it will not try to scatter my data set. It will not try to parse my data set in a form of a character. It will be available in your final result as it is. And this is the difference that you will be able to observe. If I'm going to create a list over here in this particular way, and if I'm going to keep like a data set SUDH over here, So it's completely fine. So it is going to give you exactly a same data set. But here, if you are going to keep a data set without enclosing that data set within a square bracket, so in that way, it will try to iterate over this data set. So what is the meaning of iteration? We will try to understand it in your for loop discussions basically. And this is what this list function used to implement it internally. So fine, this is like a brief introduction and brief difference in between to the list you will be able to find out. Now, so let's try to discuss a few more things about it now. So if I'm able to create a list in this particular way, so all those things that we have discussed, like accessing a data set through our indexes, or like accessing a data set from a particular indexes so to some other set of indexes, it's exactly the same. So it's not going to feel any kind of a differences, because data type of these both of this list is exactly same. It is not going to make any kind of a differences. And one more thing that we have discussed in yesterday's class, so whenever we are trying to parse a data set, so we can try to parse a data set from a left hand side to right hand side, or from right hand side to left hand side. So it takes a 3 argument. One is a indexes, if it is a only one argument. Second one, so you can try to give a starting point, you can try to give an end point. Third one, you can try to give a starting point, you can try to give an end point, and you can try to give a number of steps or number of jump. So if number of steps, or like the iteration that you have given, or the range that you have given, and the number of jump that you have given is in a same direction, you will be able to get a data set excluding upper bound. And if you are not going to give same direction, so in that case there will be a conflict. You will not be able to get an error, but you will be able to receive a blank list. You will be able to get a empty list. If I have to do a reverse of a list, so it's again very simple. So I can write my code in this way. So colon colon. So now I have not given my starting point, I have not given my end point. What I have given over here is a direction. So if I'm going to give a negative direction, -1, and step size is equal to 1, direction is equal to -1. In that case, it is going to reverse a list very easily. And same thing will be applicable even with respect to a string. So suppose if I'm going to create a string or SUDH over here. Now, so whatever discussions we have done with respect to a list, exactly a same things you will be able to observe with respect to a string. Suppose if I wanted to access a particular character from a string, so how I will be able to do that? So if I'm going to write s of 0, so in this case s of 0, so it will be able to give me a first character. So in yesterday's class we talked about indexing. So string follows a same kind of a indexing. So whenever you are talking about a string, so there will be a index 0, there will be a index 1, there will be an index 2, there will be a index 3, and you will be able to access a data into a forward direction and into a backward direction. So same rules are applicable. You are not supposed to learn anything new over here whenever you are trying to access a data from a string by using a same method that we have discussed with respect to a list. Suppose if I wanted to access a last element, in that case I can try to mention -1, and it will be able to give you a data from a very last of a string. Now, so suppose if I wanted to access a range of the data set within a string, then what I can do over here? So I can try to define my starting point. So let's suppose my starting point is 0, and then I can try to define an endpoint. Let's suppose if I have given endpoint is equal to 7, but I know that inside my string there are only 4 characters which is available. So for sure I will not be able to find out a 7th indexes. If I'm going to execute it, you will be able to get all the data set. Now if I'm going to keep it as a 3, so I will be able to get all the data set except upper bound. Remember this. So this is the same rule that we have discussed with respect to a list, and same thing is applicable even with respect to a string without any differences. So here it will be able to give me a data from an index 0, index 1, index 2, excluding index 3, because index 3 is an upper bound. Now let's suppose if I wanted to access a data from a 3 to 0, so in that case in a reverse direction you will be able to get a data. And this is what my expectation was, that I will be able to get a data, some data set from index 3 to index 0. But as I told you, so if you are not going to mention a step size, so by default, a step size will be equal to 1, positive 1. And in that case, what will happen? So just try to understand it here. So I have given my starting point is equal to 3. So if I'm going to draw a scale, So this is a 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is -1, -2, and then this is -3, and then this is -4. So this is the scale that I have taken. Now, so I'm trying to get a data from a third index to 0th indexes in this direction. And by default, if I'm not going to mention a step size, which is a third argument, so it will be a +1. Now it will try to take a steps in which direction? Positive direction, basically. And there is a conflict in between a direction, and that's the reason. So you are able to get a blank string. And this is the same thing that we have discussed with respect to a string. So remember that if direction is different, so direction from where you're trying to pass a data and direction in which you are trying to take a jump or you are trying to take a steps, if it is different, if there is a conflict, in that case you are not going to get an error, same as a list, and you will be able to get a blank string over here. Now, so if I'm going to give a negative direction, if I'm going to say that, okay, fine, so it's a column -1, now what will happen? Yes, I'm able to get the data from a reverse direction. So it is able to give me HDU, and my upper bound is what? My upper bound is 0 this time. So I have mentioned 0 over here as an upper bound. And as we know that, okay, fine, so it is going to exclude an upper bound. And yes, it is trying to exclude my upper bound in this particular way. So this is what happens with respect to a string. There are many inbuilt method which you will be able to find out with respect to a string. And in your 1.2 session, so we are going to talk about almost all of these like a inbuilt method which is available, like for a count, for finding a particular data set from the particular list or the string, or maybe accessing an index of the particular character or particular data set from a list. So each and everything will come into a picture again. So some checks will come into a picture. So these things we'll discuss, we'll talk about into a 1.2 session. Now, so this is completely a fine, I would say. So now let's talk about a list method one by one. So here, what I have done is, so I have created an empty list. Now, so after creating an empty list, so I'm trying to call append operation. So now what append does? I have created a list. So it could be a blank list, or it could be a it could be a list with some kind of elements. Now, so suppose if I'm trying to call an append operation, so append will try to append a data set in a last or in a tail of a list. So same as your data structure. So generally, whenever you will try to do a data structure programming in C, C++, or maybe into a Java, so same thing we used to do. So we used to insert an element maybe at first, maybe in a middle of a list, or maybe in a tail. So if you are going to call an append operation, so it is going to append a data in a tail. In a later stage, we'll talk about that, like how we'll be able to insert a data in a particular indexes. So there is a method called as insert by which you will be able to do that. But as of now, I'm talking about an append operation, and append always try to append a data in a tail, so in a last indexes. So let's try to understand it one by one. So I'm going to comment all of this code, and one by one I will try to uncomment it so that you will be able to understand. So here I have created a blank list, as you can see, and then I'm trying to call append. So L dot append, and then inside that, so I'm trying to give a data. If I'm going to execute it, you will be able to find out that it has appended what? It has appended this particular string that I wanted to insert. Let's suppose again I'm trying to unwrap it, and this time it will try to append this data set. Again, if I'm trying to append it, this time it is going to append this data set. As you can see, again, if I'm trying to append it, this time it is going to append this data set. Now, append wise, let's suppose if I wanted to append an entire list itself. So if I'm going to append maybe some X, Y, Z, let's suppose if I'm going to append a list with a 5, 6, 7, now what will happen? So it is going to keep my list inside a list. So as it is, whatever data we are going to give inside this append operation, so it is going to append a data inside a list. It's a very, very simple function. And suppose if you are not able to remember this function, that what this function does, because all these functions are new for you. So in that case, just try to press Shift and Tab. You will be able to get a detailed definition about this append operation. So it says that append object to the end of the list. This is what it says. And this is what we are able to observe over here. If you will try to see that, okay, so you are supposed to pass an object. This is what this append signature is going to tell me. So this is how you will be able to append a data in a last of a list. Now let's suppose if I wanted to insert a data maybe in a beginning or maybe in between a list. If I wanted to insert a data, now how will I will be able to insert a data? So to do that, you are supposed to use a function called as insert. Now insert takes two arguments. So insertion means, so I'm trying to insert maybe on any indexes which I'm going to define. So here you will be able to find out that insert operation try to insert a data in a particular place. So wherever you are going to define a place, in that place it is going to insert a data set. So here I'm trying to call list.insert and I'm trying to pass two things over here. So one thing is basically a location in which I wanted to insert. If you will try to check a definition of this insert function, so it takes two things. One is an index, means where you wanted to insert a data, and second thing is an object, means what you wanted to insert. So this is what you are supposed to define. So insert object before indexes, this is what a definition says. Let's try to verify it. So I'm trying to insert this particular list over here in where? So in our index number 1. Now if I'm going to execute it, you will be able to find out that it is trying to insert a data on an index number 1. Index for the list is going to start from 0, and here, so in index number 1, so I will be able to insert a data, and yes, it is working fine. Maybe I can try to define like, okay, insert at a 0th indexes. If I'm going to execute it, so yes, it has inserted at a 0th indexes. So by using an append function, I will be able to append a data on a last, and by using an insert operation, I will be able to insert a data inside a list at any indexes. So this is how, this is the two functions, which is a very important functions, comes into a picture when we are going to talk about a data insertion operation or data append operation within a list. So whenever suppose I'm trying to like pass a data from a particular book, and line by line, row by row. So if I have to insert this data inside a list, I will be able to do that. Or maybe for the entire book, I can create a particular, so I can create one single list, and inside a list, I will be able to keep a data set. There is no problem with that. Now, so what we have done over here is, so we have inserted a list inside a list. Now we have a nested list. We have a list inside a list. Now let's suppose you are interested into this data. So suppose if you wanted to do a manipulation on top of this data. So to do a manipulation with respect to this data set, first of all, you are supposed to extract a data, and then only you will be able to perform a data manipulation operation. And how I will be able to do that? So again, it's very simple. So let's try to understand it, how you will be able to do that. So here, what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to write list of 0. Let's suppose I'm going to write list of 0. Now, what list of 0 is going to return me? So list of 0 is going to give me a data which is available at the 0th indexes, and this is the data which I'm able to receive. And for sure, it's a list, and Python understands all of those data type by itself. You're not supposed to say Python that, okay, this is this data type or this is this data type, just like any other languages. So it's simple. So I'm going to check a data type over here, and it should be a list for sure. So yes, it's a list. Now, so I was interested into which data? I was interested into KUMAR. So this is the data set which I'm able to receive. Now, if I'm going to write again 0, means list of list. In this case, I will be able to access KUMAR. It's very easy. Now, let's suppose if I wanted to like scatter this data set into a character. Now, what I can do for that one? So I can try to pass this data set inside a list function. And yes, I'm able to scatter this entire data set in a form of character. And there are many more ways. This is not the only way. So by using a for loop or by using a while loop, so I will be able to do the same thing. But here, without using those operations, so how I will be able to scatter my data set, how I will be able to split my data set into a character. So this is how you will be able to do that. It's very easy. It's very common, I would say. So it's completely fine. So we are able to access a data set from a particular indexes, and we will be able to perform any kind of operation. Suppose if I have to convert this data set into upper cases or lower cases. Suppose if I have to write a validations on this data set. So maybe if I wanted to validate that whether there is this particular character available in this data set or not. If not, reject this data set. So I will be able to do that, because in data science, so before building a model, So you are supposed to write a lots of checks. You are supposed to write a lots of validations. So all of those things will come into a picture. So whenever we are talking about a validations, or whenever we are talking about a data manipulation, or whenever we are talking about a data parsing operations. Now, so here we have two lists. I'm trying to take two lists over here. Now, so in the case of a string, we have seen that if we have a two string, SUDH, let's suppose SUDH, and we have a KUMAR, my bad. Okay, so KUMAR. So if I'm going to use a plus operator over here, so in this case, it will try to perform a concatenation operation. This is what we have discussed. Now, in case of a list, what will happen? So if we have two lists, suppose we have a list L1 and suppose we have a list L2. Now, if I'm going to do L1 plus L2, this operation is valid operation. So in this case, it will try to concatenate two lists. Now, whenever it is trying to concatenate two lists, so first of all, it will try to ravel. Ravel means it will try to flatten a list. It will try to unwrap a list, and then it will try to create one final list. In case of an append operation, we have seen that whenever we are trying to insert a list, so it try to insert a list as it is. It is not going to ravel your data set, or it is not going to unwrap your data set. RAVEL, ravel. So ravel simply means that unwrapping of the data. So it is not going to unwrap your data set basically. So it is going to insert a data set as it is. But in this particular case, it is going to unwrap a data set first of all, and finally you will be able to get only one list. Let's suppose, so if I have a list inside a list, what happens in this case? So let's suppose there is one list which is a flat one. It's just a normal list that I'm talking about, and I have another list in which I have this kind of a data set where I have a list inside a list. If I'm going to perform this operation, so yes, in this case, it is not going to ravel a nested list. It is not going to unwrap a nested list. It is going to just append based on the first degree. So based on the first level of unwrapping, so it will be able to append the data set. So this is what happens. And let's suppose if I'm asking you to extract these two or these three, I think you will be able to do that. So you just have to extract a first list, then inside that list, so from the indexes, you will be able to access a data set. So this is what happens in case of a list append operation. Let's suppose, so I'm trying to append list one with a string SUDH. Let's suppose if I'm trying to append it, in this case, I will be able to get an error. So just like a string operation, so with respect to a string, if I'm trying to append some other data type, so in that case, I will be able to get an error. So a string plus integer concatenation, if we are trying to do, so this concatenation is not allowed. So whenever you're trying to do a concatenation operation, so make sure that your data type should be same. If I'm trying to do a string plus a string concatenation, so in that case, both of these data types should be in a form of a string. Now, so same applies with respect to a list. Whenever I'm trying to perform a list concatenation operation, so in that case, so you are supposed to append, or you are supposed to concatenate list with list. But if I wanted to append a string, or if I wanted to string insert a string, so in that case, you can go ahead with the append operation, or you can go ahead with the insert operation. This is allowed, but this concatenation operations are not allowed unless and until two data sets are same, and that's the reason. So you will be able to get an error. So what you can do is, so maybe I can try to keep this string inside this like a list data type itself. Now it will be allowed. So here I'm trying to keep my string inside this particular list, and yes, it is allowed in this particular case. So this is what like a append operation happens, or like a concatenation operation happens with respect to a list. And this is what like I can say, I can talk about like an append operation. And as we have discussed, so a string follows a same rule just like a list. So the way you will be able to extract a data from a list, in the similar way you will be able to extract a data with respect to a string object. Now, so I would like to take some questions. So you can raise your hands, guys, and I will try to unmute you. You can try to go ahead with your questions. Okay, go with your question, please.
Hi, sir, Neha here. Actually, I want to know like that any difference is there between append and extend function?
So append and extend function. So yes, there is a difference between append and extend function. So extend is already available in your 1.2, I'm assuming. So append operation try to append a data set as it is. So as you can see, it is not able to unwrap the data set. But when you are talking about the extend, right? So suppose, which I'm going to show you for sure. So in case of a extend operation, so it is going to unwrap first, and then it is going to append the data set. So you will be able to get only one list. That's the difference, but it will come into a picture. Don't worry.
Okay.
So
Hello, hello.
Go ahead. Instead of doing your mic check.
Hello, sir. I shared you a chart actually. Can you please?
Okay. So what is your name?
Abhilash.
Avilas. Okay. Can you please ping me again?
so
Avilas, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So got your chat. So you are saying these things. Okay. So append Abhi, append this, and insert at -1 indexes. So yes.
Last index, right, sir? So
Yes, yeah. So basically, if you will try to check the definition of this insert operation, so insert object before indexes. This is what it says, right? You have given -1. Now before indexes means -1, but you will be able to find out a little bit of conflict over here. So this definition. So if I'm trying to insert at a positive indexes, so in that case, what it says, it try to insert a data set on an exact that positive indexes, right? But in case of a negative, so it will try to insert a data set before the indexes. So yes, this is the reason. So it is able to insert a data set over here. So -2 position, not on an exact -1 position, which was expected for you.
Hello, Sudhanshu. Devanshu here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sudhanshu, as you inserted at 0 position Kumar and that string.
Yes.
Sir, this insert function replaces the index elements at 0th position or shifts them?
So basically like a shift them actually. So if you will try to understand this part, right? If I'm going to print this list over here, so you will be able to find out that I was trying to insert SUDH on this one. So all those data sets are available. All those data sets are available. It has not replaced it. It has basically shifted all the elements in your right direction. Making sense? Yeah.
Hi, Sudhanshu, Rajbir.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sudhanshu, you said
Hi, Sudhanshu.
parsing
Wait,
data.
when one is-
What does mean that?
So parsing data means I'm trying to extract a data one by one from the indexes. That is the meaning of parsing.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, Sudhanshu, if I want to reverse all the string,
Okay.
which is of your name, then what
Okay.
I have to do? Your spelling is like SUDH.
Okay.
I want to reverse whole string like HDUS.
Okay. So basically this is the string. So you want me to extract a data first of all from here and then reverse it?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So to do that, so what you can do is, so first of all, I will have to access this data, right? So can I say that this data set is available at which indexes? Can I say it's available at index number 1? Agree? Yes, this data set is available at index number 1, right? And then what I can write? I can write colon
Yes.
-1. Done? Done, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Next question, please.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Sudhanshu,
Yeah.
can you please just explain the step plan that you have shared in the beginning?
Sorry.
You have just taught step program in beginning, I think. So you were making.
A step program. What was that?
You have made a scale. Just a minute.
Okay, scale program. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That one. Fine. So scale always helps you out to understand a parsing of the data set. So suppose if I'm trying to create one string by my name SUDH over here, right? Now I said that. So suppose if I'm trying to access a data, or maybe I have written 3 colon 0 over here, right? So in this case, I will be able to get what? A blank. Why? What is the reason behind that? So just try to understand. So whenever you have a confusion, right? So just to clarify your confusion, so you can always use this particular scale because it is always helpful in case of a list, in case of a tuples, in case of a string, in case of a set function. So all these things follows a same kind of a nomenclature. So here I have SUDH, right? Now, so suppose if I'm trying to draw a scale 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and -1, -2, -3, and a -4, right? So in this one, so from where to where I'm trying to move? From 3rd indexes to 0th indexes, agree? So 3rd indexes to 0 indexes in this direction, agree? Now, what is the default step size? Default direction of the steps?
0, 2, 3.
No, ma'am. So 0 to 3, I'm trying to pass the data, right? So by default, the step size will be +1, right?
Okay.
+1, agree?
Hmm.
No, don't say like, okay, if you're not agreed with that. So basically by default, what will the step size means? What is the jump it try to make? So can I say that one after another,
Yeah.
right? It will try to extract the data set. So can I say that by default it's a +1, right?
Yeah.
So +1 is which direction? This is the positive direction,
Plus,
right?
yeah.
So can I say that there is a conflict?
Yeah, right.
And that's the reason you are getting a blank. Now if I am able to, if I have to get the data, right, in that case what I can do, so I can try to change the direction of the steps. So if I'm going to make minus, right, now what will happen? So 3 to 0 and okay, so starting from third and moving towards a 0th indexes. No, it should give me data. There is some problem with the kernel in that case. So starting from a third indexes, going to a 0th indexes, and then moving into a minus direction. This can't happen in this way. There is a problem with the kernel. Restart and restart. Oh, sorry. I have mentioned these things. Okay, now it's worked, right? So here you will be able to see a very clear explanation, right? Yeah. That what happens in this case. So if I'll try to explain in this particular case, so here what happens. So suppose if I'm going to draw a scale again, right? 0,
so
1, 2, 3. Yes. So minus 1,
no conflict actually.
minus 2, minus 3. Yeah. So what is the direction in which I'm trying to move? 3 to 0, right? This direction. And what is the step size? Step size is negative, right? So can I say this direction of this 2 is same, right? And that's the reason I will be able to get the data excluding upper bound. Now what is upper bound? 0 in this case, right? Yeah. Simple.
Thank you.
Banshu, we cannot pass
line 250.
We cannot pass
here in that list function.
Sorry, what we can't pass?
Integer.
You can't. You will be able to keep a data as an integer inside a list. That is completely fine. So suppose if I have like a 3, 4, 5, 6, yes, it's completely fine. If I wanted to access a data set, even that is completely fine. So I will be able to access a data set as an integer.
Not in this list. The 174th one, 174th line.
174th line. Where is my 174th line? This one. Right. Okay. So yeah, if you are going to keep an integer, so by default, the nomenclature of this particular list says that whenever you are going to keep a data without a list or without some iterable object, so in that case, it is going to give you a error. So suppose if I'm going to keep 4 over here, it is going to give me error for sure. But if I wanted to keep a 4 in this particular place, so I can try to enclose this within a list object, and then it will be fine. Because if I will try to check that whether integer is an iterable object or not, there is a function called as iter, and if I'm going to pass 6, it simply says that it's not at all iterable. So what is iterable, what is iterator, and what is generator? So these things will come into a picture, I think in 2.1 section that we are going to talk about, and then you will be able to understand that why we are not able to parse a integer. But as of now, just try to understand. So integer is just a single data set. It's basically a primitive data type. Now, so you will not be able to iterate over the integer. The string will be having a character. Its string is nothing but it's a collection of character. But integer, it's just a single data type. Float, it's a single data type. Boolean, it's a single data type. So you will not be able to iterate over to it, and that's the reason so you are getting this kind of an issue. Making sense?
Line 250, Sudhanshu.
Line 250. Okay, this one.
I didn't get how this works.
Okay, you didn't get how this works. Okay, not a problem. So fine. Now here, so what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to get first of all, so this is a list that I have. So this is the list which someone had pinged me, I think. And out of that, so I'm trying to get which data? So data from the 0th indexes. Can I say that it is going to give me this one? Yes, no? Yeah. So it is going to give me this data set. Now out of that, so I'm trying to get what? So this data set. So this data set means, so I will be able to get this. Now, if I'm going to get a data from this string, so what I can do is 0. So again, it will be able to give me if I'm going to give 0 over here, so it will be able to extract A. So it's simple data extraction operations, nothing fancy. Yeah. So I think we can take 2 or 3 questions.
Sudhanshu, someone asked in line 12, L dot insert -1 machine learning.
Yeah.
So can you please explain that why it is not inserting at the last position?
So what is the definition?
Okay, insert object before index.
Before indexes. But if you are trying to give a positive indexes, so like I said, there is some conflict with respect to this definition. You will be able to find out in Python. So basically, if I'm talking about a positive indexes, so in case of a positive indexes, you will be able to feel that it is going to insert exactly on that particular index. Suppose if I'm going to mention +1 over here, so in that case, it will try to insert a data set on a positive, exactly on the same indexes, it will be able to insert the data. So this is the index number 1, right?
Yeah.
So just try to understand in this way. So it tried to shift a data. Now, where it is shifting a data set? It is shifting a data set on a second location. Agree?
Yeah.
It is shifting a data set into a second location basically, and then in a first location it is trying to insert this data set. So again, if I'll try to understand this definition, default definition of the insert, so this is how you will be able to understand it. Now when I'm going to give a minus direction, so in that case what happens is, you were expecting that okay, it will insert data set where? In a last one, right? This is what you were expecting. But before, just go after the definition. So it will try to insert a data before indexes. So it is trying to shift a data set, -1 data set, and then it is going to insert a data set into a -2 position. So this is like something you will be able to remember in case of a insert operation. Yeah.
In the 260 line number,
okay,
we want to the like in the B reverse the only the index should string, and we want to the into the one shot hold the string reverse.
No, I'm not able to understand your question at all.
Mean that 260 you can see the answer 260 string is 260 given the should we reverse the should as dush. We want to reverse all the list in one shot.
Okay, we wanted to, so you want these things in a first indexes, this in a second indexes, this in a first indexes, right?
No, not first indexes and second indexes. In the you can see the result 262 like this type of result. We want to reverse, but the index will remaining same as it is what is given.
So
but
you want to reverse,
reverse.
You want to reverse the elements inside this one, but indexes of the element should be same, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, what you will have to do is, so you will have to write a program in this way. So you can try to create like a for loop kind of a things. And for loop, as of now, we have not discussed. So for I in like L, and for I in L, so just do one thing. So I of basically like a colon -1 you are supposed to write, and you are supposed to L is equal to L dot append operation you are supposed to perform over here, and L dot append, and I will be able to get. So this is something that we have. Fine. So in this case here, you will not be able to keep integer, because for integer the reverse operation is not possible, because you will not be able to get the indexes in this particular way. Okay, so non-type object has a attribute L. Okay, so it's my bad. So it should be L or it should be M, and M is equal to M dot append operation, and non-type object has not retrievable where it is for I in L. Okay, so I think L was something different. Now I in L, what is my L? So L is this one. So I in L, non-type object, where is my non-type object? Print I for me. Okay, so fine, print I for me, and then new m is equal to m dot append, and append what? I. Non-type object has no attribute, m dot append I. Where is my non-type object? L is this one. SUDH, this one. Okay. So I will try to create a basic list over here. SUDH, UMAR, not append. Okay, fine. I'm not append this one, and append by doing this one -1. So now if I'll try to print m over here, yes, m is fine. Now I will try to replace this list with this list. Got it? So I think someone was looking for this, right?
Yeah.
Was that? Yeah. So this is what you're looking for. So you're not looking for the reverse of the list. Basically, you are looking for the reverse of the element which is available inside a list, right? So fine. So as you can see over here, so it is able to reverse. Okay. So reverse this every element inside the list, as you can see. Now, if you're looking for reversal of this as well, you can write a condition for that. So it's simple. So I'm just trying to iterate over the list, and then whatever data set available inside that list, I'm just trying to reverse it. It's very basic, I would say. Okay, so find every kind of operation, whatever kind of operation you are looking for, you will be able to achieve it. Like I said, just depends upon our thought process. So how we are going to parse the data and how we are going to perform this kind of operations. So
like
find
list is hello.
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Like list is heterogeneous, some integer and some string. Then it is possible to reverse that?
No, it is not possible to reverse in that case, because element wise, it is possible to reverse the entire list. I will be able to do that. But element wise operation, if we are going to do, so in that case, it is not possible, because integer integer is not a iterable object, right? So when it will go inside an integer, so it will not be able to reverse it. So you will have to write a condition over there. So if it is an integer, then don't do these things. And if it is a string, then only do these things. So here you just have to write a condition, a small condition over here. So if I is equal to integer, right? So just do what? So in case of I is equal to integer, so just try to do m dot append. Append of what? Append of I over here. Append of I. Or in that case, you will have to write elif. What you have to do? So elif, try to perform this operation. Got it?
Yes.
Yeah. So just a condition, and again, even in this way, so you will be able to do that. So you will not be able to get an error, but directly we will get an error. So fine, guys. Moving ahead with discussions. So yeah, keep on asking all the permutation combination that you have. I don't have any issue. Now, so fine. Now let's talk about a for loop. So I was using a for loop, and most of you will not be able to understand it for sure, because we have not discussed about a for loop so far, so forth, and most of you will not be able to understand this set of a code as well. It's completely fine. It's nothing fancy. Even you will be able to do it in a couple of minutes. So here, let's suppose, so I have a string. Let's suppose I have a string s. S is equal to SUDH that I have. Now, so we have discussed and we talked about that, okay, I will be able to access the data set by giving a indexes. So by giving a 0th indexes, I will be able to access the data set. Or maybe like if I wanted to get a data set from some range to some range, I will be able to get that data as well. Suppose if I'm going to give a range which is beyond the indexes. Suppose if I'm going to give only one indexes, which is beyond the index range, which is available inside my data set. And in that case, you are going to get a string index out of range exception. But if you are going to give only single indexes, if you'll try to access data set, only in this case, you will be able to get this kind of an error. Now, if I'm trying to give our indexes starting from a 0 to 8, I know that 8 indexes is not possible. It's not available. But you will not be able to get a error in this case. You will be able to get a feasible data set. Now, let's suppose if I wanted to extract a data one by one, One by one means I want S, I want U, I want D, I want H. One by one, character wise, if I wanted to extract a data. So how I will be able to extract a data character wise one by one. So for that, so you can try to write a loop called as for loop basically. And for loop and if else statement, all those things are very much important. So suppose if I'm going to write a for loop, so for I in basically S. So first of all, just try to understand the signature of a for loop. So what this for loop says. So for loop is a kind of a loop which will try to extract a data one by one from your collection. Collection means it could be a string, it could be a list, it could be a dictionary, it could be a set, it could be a tuples. So set, tuples, dictionary, we'll talk about that. So here, as we know that we have a string, and whenever it is trying to store a string, so for sure it will try to store a string with respect to an indexes 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. Now, so what for loop does? So when I'm trying to write for I in S, so what is my S? S is nothing but this data. So for I in S, so it will go to this data set SUDH, in which we have our indexes 0, 1, 2, 3. So it will go to this particular string, and one by one, index by index, or whatever logic I'm going to write. So based on that, it will start extracting a data set. So by default, it will try to start from a 0th indexes, then first indexes, then second indexes, then a third indexes. This is what it does, and it will start giving you the data set. Now, so whatever kind of a manipulation operation you are looking for, so you will be able to perform a manipulation operation based on this extraction. So this is what for loop does. Now if I'll talk about a Java, people who belongs from a Java background, right? So in Java, so for loop is a little bit different. So we used to define for int I is equal to 0, means we try to define the initial point. I is lesser than equal to like a condition we used to put, so maybe 10, and then so we used to write I plus plus, means a plus plus operator or minus minus operator, so just to give a direction. But this kind of things are not possible or not available inside a Python. So in Python, for loop is a lot easier as compared to a for loop which is available in any programming language. It's very simple. So for loop understands that from where to where I have to move, till what point I have to extract a data set, and again on top of that, so you will be able to write your condition. So these kind of things are like pretty much feasible with respect to a for loop. So here what I have done, so here I have written for I in S. So what is my S? S is my string. I know that string is a kind of a collection of character. So it will try to extract a data set one by one with the help of for loop. And then whatever you wanted to do, you will be able to perform it. So like I wanted to print a character one by one. So maybe I can try to write in this way, print, and print what? So print all the data. So print I. Now what is I over here? So I is basically a local variable for my for loop. I is basically a local variable. So whatever data it is going to extract, so it will start keeping all the data inside a I one by one, and then we are trying to print it. So I will extract first of all S, print it. Then again extract U, then print it. And again extract D, print it, extract H, and then print it. This is called as a loop. So it will start extracting data one by one, and then it will start performing all of those operations that you are going to write inside a body of for loop. And whenever you are going to write a for loop, so always make sure that you are going to maintain a column, and then you are going to maintain a proper indentation. So as we have discussed in yesterday's class, most of you are going to make a mistake as a beginner in this area basically, and you will not be able to get some feasible output, or maybe you will get an error. It will be stuck. So just make sure, and again, try to read out the errors, and based on the errors, try to resolve it. So for loop is pretty much simple over here inside a Python. So it's just a kind of a loop which will try to extract a data set from the collection. Now, if I'll try to like perform this for operation, maybe on top of an integers. Let's suppose I have given 8 over here. Now, if I'll try to like execute it, it is going to tell me that int object is not iterable. I can't parse an integer data set one by one. I will not be able to extract a data, but in the same place, if I'm going to give a string over here, it will be able to extract a data set. Let's suppose if I'm going to put a list over here. So if I'm going to give a list in this particular place, now, so from a list, it will be able to extract a data set. So this is the list that I'm trying to give over here. Now, so if I wanted to extract a data set from the list, yes, I will be able to extract a data set one by one, and it will not be in a form of like a defined predefined data set like a list. So it will be in a form of a primitive data type when you will be able to extract a data set. Now if I wanted to perform an operation, so for every like a data set, so suppose if I wanted to check that what is the type of the data set, so maybe I can try to write a print operation, and then I can try to write like a type, and it will be able to give me a type of all the data sets. So first data set is integer, second is integer, third is integer, fourth one is a string. So yes, it is able to give me a class of all the data set like an integer, 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 string. So Python is trying to understand each and everything, or each and every data type that you have mentioned. So you're not supposed to say Python that this is the data type that I'm trying to create. Python understands all of those things in its own way, and it will be able to give you the final results. This is the basic understanding, a basic idea about a for loop. Now inside a for loop, so if you wanted to write a if else kind of a condition, or if you wanted to write maybe some other kind of a condition, you will be able to write it. Let's suppose, so you wanted to extract a data from the for loop, but so you wanted to extract only a string data set from this particular loop, or from this particular list you wanted to extract only string. So how I will be able to do that? So as we know that inside this like a list, so we have basically an integer data type as well as we have a string data type. So now yesterday we talked about if condition. So what I can write over here is, so if I, or like I can write like if type of I, so data type of I is equal to str. So only in that case print a data. So only in this case print I, otherwise don't print I, and you will be able to see that yes, it is able to print only SUDH, and it is not able to print this 1 to 3, because what will happen in this case? So it will go to your for loop. First of all, it will go to a index number 0. It will try to check a data type. It will try to extract this data first of all, then type of I. So what is the type of I? In a first iteration, it will be integer. Integer is equal to a string, false. Now it will not go inside the body. Again, it will go back to the data set. It will start 2 from here. Now it will try to check what is the type of 2, because I will be nothing but I will be holding the local variable. So here it will be 2. So type of 2 is equal to str. No, again false. It will not come inside the loop, or it will not come inside the if body. Now it will try to go to this one, and again it will try to check what is the type of 3, integer. Integer is equal to a string, false. Again it will not go inside the body. It will go over here. It will try to check that whether type of this string is equal to string. Yes, it's true. And in that case, it will go over here. It will try to print this particular string. So this is how this thing is going to happen for you. Let's suppose, so like if I have given you the requirement that, okay, so I have a string. So I have a list basically over here. I have a list over here. And inside a list, I have a string which is available. Now I'm asking you that, okay, so if there is a string, do one thing, reverse it basically. So try to print a reverse of a string. Now, so I will try to check the condition first of all. So if there is a string over here, it's completely fine. If there is a string, now I will try to reverse it. So for reversal, so what I can write, colon -1, because we know that this colon -1 works for the string. And yes, if there is a string, it is able to reverse the string. If there is no string, it will not do anything in this case. So it's pretty easy. Again, so if you will suppose like if I wanted to write a condition over here, maybe I have a list. So I have a list in which I have like DGF, and then we have like XYZ over here. Then we have like ABC over here. Now, so what you are looking for? So you are looking for basically a data set where data type will be equal to list. And if it is list, reverse a entire list. Suppose if I'm asking you that, okay, so if data type is equal to list, reverse a entire list. So yes, you will be able to do that. So basically here, so you have to write a condition that, okay, data type is equal to list. So just try to reverse the entire list. So you will be able to find out ABC. Now ABC was available into a last indexes. Now it's available into a first indexes. DGF is available into a first indexes. Now it is available into a last indexes. Now on top of that, I have one more condition. Suppose I have given you, suppose if I'm telling you that, okay, reverse a list plus reverse a data type or data set which is available inside a list. So do these things. So now what you will do? So yes, I'm able to reverse a list, and yes, I'm able to get this data. That is completely fine. I have checked a condition first of all, whether it's a list or not. If it is a list, fine, I will be able to reverse it. So yes, I'm able to reverse it. Now I'm trying to give you a second condition. Reverse a element inside a list. So reverse a list plus element inside the list. So ABC means ABC should be CBA. XYZ will be ZYX, and DGF is equal to GFD. So this is the requirement which I am looking for. So in that case, what you will try to do? So in that case, you can try to write a code in this way. So this is the list. This is going to give you a list. So for I in, this list. So I wanted to reverse this list. So for I in this one, again, so I have written a for loop inside a for loop. So now I'm talking about a nested for statement over here, and I can try to create a blank, because what I told you, so reverse a data inside a list, and then finally I'm looking for a list itself. I'm not looking for just a string, I'm looking for a final list in this case. So maybe I can try to create a blank list over here, and then inside a blank list, so I will try to reverse it. I will keep on appending a data. So here L dot, so here maybe I can try to change this local variable, so J, and then so like L dot append operation over here, and then append what? So append the reversal of J. So here append after the reversal of J, colon -1, and finally you will be able to get a data set. So if I'm going to print L over here, so you will be able to find out that first of all it is trying to extract a list out of my data. Second, so it is trying to reverse the list. Third, it is trying to reverse the element inside a list. So here I'm able to get a reversal of all of those elements inside a list. So this was my original list. DGF was available into a first place. Now it is available into a last place. And then whatever element is available inside this indexes, I have reversed that one as well. So reversal of reversal means list of list. So list inside the list. So I have a string. I have reversed that as well, and it's pretty much simple. So again, those who are not able to understand these things, I'm going to explain you again. So let's try to understand this code. So my requirement was very simple. My requirement was that I have this list. So first of all, my requirement was to extract only a list. So yes, I have extracted a list from the list. To do that, what I have done is I have written a for loop. And with the help of for loop, so I know that for loop will try to extract a data one by one. So in a first iteration, it will extract this one. Now 1. So type of 1, I is equal to 1. Type of 1 is equal to integer. Now integer is not equal to list. So it will not do anything. It will not perform any operation, any of these operations. Now what happens? It will try to go to 2. It will start 2. It will check with this condition. No, this condition is not valid because integer is not equal to list. So it will not again go to this statement. Now there will be 3. Now so it will try to check whether the type of 3 is equal to integer. No, not again. So integer is equal to list. No, not again. False. So it will try to not to go to inside this particular statement. Then SUDH. What is the type of SUDH? SUDH type is equal to string. String is equal to list. No. Again, it will not go inside this one. Now what will happen? It will try to take this element from the last indexes. Then it will try to check type of I. So type of I is equal to list. Yes. Now this time it's a list. Now once it will be able to find out that it's a list, then it will try to execute a body of this if statement, because this if statement is having this as a body in this particular place. Once it will be able to get a list over here. Now, so now list, this is what I'm trying to give. So here it will be able to take this list after reversal. So my first condition was reverse a list. So what will happen? It is going to reverse this entire I. So now A will be available over here, DGF will be available over here, XYZ will be available in the same place. It will try to reverse the entire list. Now inside that list, whatever list I have created, so I have to reverse a element inside a list as well. Now, so I'm just trying to call this L.append because I have to create a final list, and then I have written a reversal of each and every element. So it will extract D first of all, then XYZ, then ABC, means in a reverse direction, and then it will try to reverse it, and then it will try to append it. So I'm trying to perform a multiple operations over here, and whatever if statement that we have discussed in a today's class, So I'm able to use that if statement. I'm able to use a for loop. I'm able to use a list. I'm able to traverse a data set within a list. I'm able to reverse a data set with the help of indexes. So whatever we have discussed till today's class from yesterday, so each and everything I'm able to utilize it over here. So anyone who is having any questions or concern, so please go for your a question. So you can raise your hand. I will try to. So yeah, you can raise your hand now. So I will try to clarify that one. Okay, so okay, please go ahead with the question.
Can we add list and string together for forming
so can we add a
string and list together?
So append operation is not possible. Like I already told you that append operation is not possible just with the help of plus operator. So if I'm trying to add like a list and a string over here, so it is going to give me this kind of a error, basically, right? This kind of error I will be able to get it. It will tell me that okay, so concatenation is not possible. But still, if I wanted to insert a string inside this list, so in that case, what I can do, so I can try to call list l1 dot append. And then inside that, so I will be able to give my string, and in this case, it is feasible. So it will be able to insert this string inside a list. So this operation is feasible, but concatenation is not feasible. Okay. Yeah. Next one, please.
Is there any way that instead of appending to the new list, is there any way that we can replace the in the existing list itself?
So is it possible to replace a data inside a same list itself, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm going to call this one, and then you will not be able to find out any of like a method which is responsible for replacing it. So in that case, what you have to do is, so you have to write a for loop first of all, iterate over the list and write a condition that okay, so I wanted to append it, but I don't want this string. In that case, you will be able to construct a list with the replacement, but by default methods are not available.
Sudhanshu, Manoj here. One question. Sudhanshu, in C, we give for I is equal to 0, then condition, and then we increment. So
Yes.
similarly here, can we give something like that, base value of I equal to 0, and then increment?
Yes, we'll be able to give that one. So here, after this like a discussion, so I'm going to talk about a range function. So with the help of range function, so yes, I will be able to give our index range. So from this indexes to this indexes, it will be able to extract and iterate the data set. So that is possible.
In the same example, can I start the iteration from the second index or third index in the same
Yes,
example?
I will be able to start the things from this indexes to this indexes. There is a function called as range. I will talk about that. Those who are not able to understand this range function, it's completely fine. So I can try to mention that I start from index range 2 to 5, and yes, it is possible.
Okay, sir. One last question. Can you use that function append and use control tab?
Yeah, control shift tab basically, not
Yeah,
control.
shift tab. Yes, I'm sorry. You see that the signature, it gives the information l.append bracket object comma slash. What does slash mean, sir?
Slash means like it will try to append it at the end of the line. Basically, end of the line means end of the list. Basically, this is what it means.
Sir, I didn't understand. I'm sorry, bhai.
So when it is trying to append a data, so it is trying to append the data in a last indexes, right? So L simply means that at the end of the list. It's just a signature, just a nomenclature. So,
Okay, if in any other place, if it is coming in the middle or in the beginning, it means in that particular fashion.
Yes, yeah. So simple append means append the data in a tail. That's it, nothing else.
Thank you, bhai.
Yeah.
Sudhanshu Raja here. I just
go ahead.
piece of code.
Yeah. So hi Sudhanshu. Yeah. Sudhanshu, can we print the means series in the vertical order?
Sorry.
Print the series in horizontally. Means suppose if they suppose we were printing here, we were getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 line by line.
Have you tried these things? Yes or no?
No, actually, I was not able to do so.
Okay, why? So in that case, I think
actually, I didn't did much research, but yeah.
You should do that, right?
Yeah.
It's a simple print statement. So as of now, it is trying to print it in a vertical order, right? Now, so if you will just check the signature of these things, so here you will be able to find out end of line, right? So end is equal to end of line. So in that case, suppose if I'm going to replace these things with a tab, got it?
Okay.
Sir,
Just try to do a permutation combination by yourself, guys. This is like just a basic things, right? If you will try to do it, and again I told you, so Python program, Python documentation is written in such a way that you are not even supposed to do a Google search, right? Most of the things you will be able to get it from here itself, and the best way of learning, I will tell you, I will give all of your answer. I don't have any issue, right? But you will not be able to learn it because there are many permutation combinations, thousands of permutation combinations, which is possible. So if you wanted to learn programming, any programming language, not only Python, any programming language in a best possible way, the best possible way is to do a permutation combination. Try to generate thoughts whether I can achieve this or that or not, and then try to achieve it. And again, Python wise, it's very simple, it's very basic and very easy to do any kind of operation. So here someone has asked me that whether I will be able to print it in a horizontal order or not, because by default, so print is going to give you a data set in a vertical order. What is the reason behind that? The reason behind this one is, so at the end, so it is trying to call /n. /n means nothing but new line. Basically, this is the signature for the /n. Now, so if I'm going to give a /t over here, or maybe if I'm going to remove the /t, simple. So I'm able to get all the data set in a horizontal order. As simple as that.
So, print function.
Just ping to the code actually in the chat.
What is your name?
Raja.
Sudhanshu, this is Pradeep.
Sir, my print function is not working.
Wait.
Yeah, Sudhanshu, just now I ping you one.
Okay, can you please ping your code again? This is not working if we don't add column for Amazon cart. Can you please tell me the details? What is this? I'm not able to get your question, Raja.
No, actually, if you're initially I'm creating a list as Amazon cart.
Okay.
Then I'm assigning that Amazon cart to a new cart.
Okay.
If you're not giving the range right, and if you're trying to replace any value inside the new card, right?
Send me the code that you're trying to do. I'll fix it immediately. Yeah. Okay. Next question.
So
now someone has Pradeep. Wait. Yeah, Pradeep. I can see your message over here. So why you have pinged me the assignment question? Try this out and then ping me, right?
Yeah.
I'm Ravi.
No, I didn't understand this question, Sudhanshu. Actually,
which question?
We have to. This one, which I have.
Try this out first of all. If you're not able to understand it, in your documentation, we have a documentation, right?
Yeah.
Ask the question over there, right?
I just
yeah,
great. Hi, I am Ravi. I just sent a code. So I'm just trying to see.
Raja
do we have
has
any?
Sent me code basically. Let me try to fix this. Who's trying to make this kind of a noise? Just be on mute, otherwise I'll remove you. I have that option. So
no, this is working, but thing is that if I'm not giving that range in the Amazon card, right?
Range is Amazon card.
I mean
this one,
the blank. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Next to the Amazon card, right? If I'm not giving that range inside that blank range, right?
Okay, this one. If you're not giving this. Okay.
Yeah, if you remove that,
yeah.
Even if I'm replacing that new card value to tablets, right? Both are same.
Yeah, so why it will do that? So why it should like if you're not giving this column, right? So it will not be able to understand that what is your starting point, what is your end point, right? And neither it will be able to understand the indexes on which you're trying to perform the operation. So for sure, you're not going to get an answer in that.
I thought I'm just assigning the full card value to the new card, right?
No, not at all, not at all. No,
oh, is it?
No.
Okay.
It's not like, so it will be better if you're trying to assign. So just call this one.
Okay.
Sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So my append function is not working.
Which one is not working?
Append function. And both insert and append.
Ping me your code. Ping me your code. I'll show you it's working.
Hello, sir. I want to change the list inside the list. Means reverse of the list of the list. I send the code in your private.
What is your name, by the way? Because I have already shown you the code for the same thing, right? And still you're not able to do this. It's sad. So what is your name? Ping me your code. Okay, so fine. I think we can take 3-4 more questions and then we'll move to the next topic.
Hello.
I'm just trying to see if we can skip in that for loop. Meaning, for example, I sent you a code. Other than if, meaning I have a counter and then in the counter.
Ping me your code, Ravi. Ping me your code.
I just send you my code.
So Manoj has pinged me this code. Why you have pinged me this code? This is already.
If I execute this, type h ka result aa rahi hai. I mean, why it's not giving me length h ka result?
So why it should give you? I think someone has asked the same question yesterday, right? So whenever you're trying to perform this kind of operation, so if you are going to write a print, then only it is going to give you something before before the last statement. Otherwise, it is going to give you the result of the last statement by default. So if you are looking for a result from here, so just try to like keep it inside the print. You will get it.
Thank you. Bye.
Hello, sir.
Now,
Sir, Rahul here.
Texted you.
Sir,
Put
there
your
is an
mobile in
assignment.
silent. Assignment question I'm not going to answer. So assignment question
No,
is
it's
there
not
for
about
you.
no, it's not about the question. There is an assignment updated on conditional loops.
Yeah. So what is the problem with this Sejal, right? Yeah. What's the problem with this Sejal? It's working. How to remove last comma? So just there is a operator called as separator. Just try to use it. So separator wise use comma and then int should be so like whatever you wanted to print. So separator wise maybe I can try to write like this one. Separator wise it should be a comma and it should end with a blank.
Hello.
So just try to implement these things. It will work. It will be working actually. So it's basically a part of your assignment as well. So I think assignment number 1, question number 1 or 2. So just try to do it.
Hello,
Okay,
sir.
so
Ravi, I just sent you.
Hello.
Ravi, trying to skip the list from the trying to skip in a list. Any options? Yes, yeah, Ravi. So you will be able to skip it. So for sure, I have a list. I'm going to talk about actually range function. So it's basically a part of your range function. If I wanted to skip something, I will be able to skip. So suppose I have this string now. So what I want is, so I wanted to extract the data. So for I in range of like 1 comma starting from a 0 go till 4th and then skip all the alternative elements. So if I'm going to write a code in this way, now if I'm going to print print I over here, so you will be able to find out that it has, okay, so I and L of I can write. So yeah, you will be able to find out that it has skipped this element, right? It is printing all the data which is available at odd indexes. So 0, 2 it has skipped. So 1 it has skipped, then 2. So all the even data it is trying to print out. I'll talk about range function, then you will be able to understand it. But yeah, as of now, based on your question, so this is the answer.
Sir, I sent
Hello,
you
sir.
the code. Sir, I sent you the code.
What is your name, ma'am?
How can I reverse the
Mamma Mia.
list?
Sorry?
Sir, it was Mamma Mia. I sent it from that name.
Okay.
Sir, I already sent my code.
Wait, don't try to shout. You have sent me a code. I can see that. Just wait for some time. Okay, so what is the problem with this one? K.append ABC. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what are you looking for in this code?
So my append is not appending anything. I mean, in this list.
Is it? Got it?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Great. Yeah. Yes. Next person. What is your question?
Yeah. How to remove variables from Python memory?
Sorry. What is your question?
How to remove variable from Python memory?
Am I talking about a memory management now? I told you, right? Memory management will come into a picture, right? So why are you asking this question?
No, because,
try to ask a question based on that discussion. Based on the discussion, try to ask question.
Yeah, because why I'm asking you, if you create a in 194 tab L equal to 13456. Okay. Yesterday you taught about this. Suppose I have list equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then today you told me that W equal to you can use a variable using a function also. Means W equal to list and bracket using a function. That time it will give you error.
I'm not able to understand your question at all. I think I'm assuming that no one is able to understand your question at all. So it will be better if you can, if you have tried some code, ping me that code. I'll try to rectify it. Yeah. Okay. Fine, guys. Moving ahead with next discussion. So yeah, keep on giving me all the permutation combination. It's really fun. So okay. Now so okay. This one is this. This one is this. This one is this. For loop we have discussed. Okay, so yeah, if else statement inside the for loop that we have also discussed. Okay, now let's talk about a small program. I think all of you will be able to understand that. So here we have a list, as you can see. Now my requirement is to find out a summation of all the data set which is available inside this list. So yeah, not a big deal. So I think all of you will be able to do it. So just parallelly do it in your system. So here I have a list, and I have an integer inside my list, and I'm trying to find out the summation of that. So what I have to do is I have to extract the data set one by one, and simple addition operation. I will try to write it down. Now here, so I have this data set I have written for val in numbers. Number is what? Number is this list. So I'm trying to give this number as a variable over here. This is the local variable. So it will go to this number. First of all, it will try to extract 6, then 5, then 3, then 8, then 4, and then whatever operation you have written inside the for loop, it will try to implement that particular operation. So here I have created a variable sum. Sum is equal to 0 initially, and then I'm trying to write sum is equal to sum plus val. So in a first iteration, what will happen? It will first iteration, it will go to this list, extract 6. Now inside this for loop, so sum is equal to sum plus val. So sum is equal to 0 plus, because initially value of sum is equal to 0. So 0 plus val. So 0 plus 6 is equal to 6. So sum is equal to 6. Now it will go again. It will try to extract the data. Now it will be 5. So sum is equal to sum plus val. So what is the sum now? Sum is equal to 6. 6 plus 5 is equal to 11. Now it will go to the list again. It will try to extract the data set. Now, so it will try to perform again sum is equal to sum plus val. So 11 plus 3 is equal to 14, and so on. It will keep on doing these things unless and until it will not be able to exhaust all the elements which is available inside this particular list. And then finally, I'm trying to print a sum over here, and you will be able to get a summation of all the element which is available inside this particular list element. So as simple as that. So you will be able to perform a summation operation or whatever operation you are looking for. So you will be able to perform all sort of operations inside this particular for loop. So for loop is majorly used for iteration or extraction of the data set from any kind of a collection, and based on the condition that you are going to write, based on the logic that you are going to write. So it will be able to implement all of those logic on top of this one. So like a pretty easy operations with respect to a for loop. Now, so here I will talk about a little bit a different part of for loop, which is not available in any programming languages. Now, what is that? So here you will be able to see that I have written a for loop, but with for I have written an else statement. In any other programming languages, Java, C, C++, C#, Scala, anywhere. So you will be able to find out if else kind of a statement. And again, in our class, we talked about if else kind of a statement. So if else, I know that when it is going to fall into a else. So like a for else kind of a statement, you will never encounter in any other programming language. But here in Python, you will be able to see a for else as well. So it's not a if else I'm talking about. It's a for else combination which I'm talking about, which is not available in any other language at all. Now, so here, what I'm trying to do is, so I'm trying to create one list. As you can see, I have an element 015 inside my list. Now I'm trying to iterate over this data. So I'm trying to extract first of all 0, then I'm trying to extract 1, then I'm trying to extract 4 over here. And then one by one, I'm trying to print it. So it will try to go over this particular list. It will extract the data set. It will try to print it over there. Then what about this else statement? So once it will be able to exhaust this entire list, so which it is supposed to iterate inside a for statement, then it will come to else statement. It means that, so unless and until it is not going to exhaust this entire for statement, it will never come inside a else statement. And then whatever operations you have written inside a else statement, it will try to perform that particular operation. It's very simple. So like for else, so it will come to a else statement only in one condition, when it is going to exhaust your entire for loop. Suppose if there is some problem with the for loop, or suppose if you are trying to break your loop in between your iteration itself, it means that suppose if you have not completed the normal execution operations of this entire list, or if you have not exhausted your data set completely, it is not going to come inside a else statement. So again, I will try to use your for else statement in a break and continue statement. I'll show you that basically. So I will be able to show you that if my for loop is going to break in between, in that case, it is not going to come inside a else statement. And remember that I'm not talking about a if else, I'm talking about a for else. For else is not available in any other languages. It's available over here inside a Python. So again, it's a useful operation. So sometimes we generally use it. So this is all about a for else statement. Now, so there is another kind of a loop I'm going to talk about. So there is something called as a while. So you will be able to find out that a while statement is pretty much common in any other languages. So here, let's talk about while. So what is the meaning of while, and then what and all things I will be able to achieve with the help of while statement. So here in this case, I'm trying to take one number, n is equal to 10, let's suppose. Now, so I'm trying to take another variable, sum is equal to 0. And then I'm trying to take another variable, I. So I is equal to 3, I is equal to 1. So I'm trying to take just 3 variables over here, n, sum, and I. Now, it's completely fine. Then I'm trying to write one keyword called as while. Now, so what while does? First of all, try to understand that. So while will try to iterate over your data set once the condition is valid. So we have written a for loop. Now for loop was trying to extract a data set just from the collection, starting from the index 0 till index last. Again, I can write a condition inside the for loop if I don't want to iterate any of the data set, or if I wanted to skip some data set, I can write a condition. Now here inside a while statement, so first of all, it will try to check a condition. If condition is true, only in that case it is going to perform an operation which you have written inside a while statement. Otherwise, it is not going to perform any kind of operation. Now, what is the meaning of that? Let's understand this. So here I have written condition is equal to I should be lesser than equal to n. Now, what is I? I is 1, and 1 is lesser than equal to n. What is n? 10. Whether it's true or not. So 1 is lesser than equal to 10. Yes, 1 is lesser than equal to 10. So this is true. So this is true. In that case, it will get inside a while statement. And then inside the while statement, I have written an operation. So I have written an operation saying that sum is equal to sum plus I. Sum is equal to sum plus I means, so in a first iteration, what will be the sum value? Value of sum is equal to 0. 0 plus I. Now what is I? So I is equal to 1. So 0 plus 1 is equal to value of new sum is equal to 1. So this will be the value of new sum. And then I have written an operation. I is equal to I plus 1. Now what is I? So I is equal to 2. So I will be, so as of now, I is equal to 1. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Now I become 2. Now again, this is the end of one iteration, first iteration. Then again, it will go to loop. So because while is a loop, so unless and until this condition is not going to break, it will keep on executing a data set. So what will happen next? So it will try to go back to the while statement again. Now it will check I is lesser than equal to n or not. Now what is the value of I now? I is 2. I became 2 because I have done I plus 1. So I became 2. So 2 is lesser than equal to 10. Yes, it's true. Now again we'll try to perform this operation. Sum is equal to sum plus I. So now sum is equal to 1 as of now plus I. So now I is equal to 2. So 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Now again we'll try to increment I. So increment I by, so I is equal to I plus 1. So now I will become 3. So 3 is lesser than equal to 10. Yes, it's true. So now it will try to perform this operation. So 3 is equal to, so 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. So it's completely fine. Again, it will try to increment I, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, when it will become 10. So 10 is lesser than equal to 10. Yes, it's true. So it will try to perform the summation operation plus I. So whatever will be the summation plus 10, it is going to perform over here. And then what will be I? So I will be equal to 10 plus 1 is equal to 11. Now again it will go and it will check that 11 is lesser than equal to 10 or not, and in that case it will be false. So in this case it will become false, and if it will become false, it will not get inside this particular loop and it will break the entire loop. And then, so I'm trying to print a sum over here, so I will be able to get a summation. Now, so what I'm trying to do, so I'm trying to get a summation of all the data starting from 1 till 10 basically. So I'm looking for summation of all the data sets starting from 1 till 10. So I'm trying to use a while statement over here, and while statement always try to check the condition. So whatever condition you are going to write, so it will try to check the condition first of all. Once condition is valid, then only it will get inside the while statement. If condition is not valid, it will not get inside the while statement. As simple as that. So it's completely fine, guys. So we are like able to get a summation of a data set starting from 1 till 10. So 1 till 10. So summation of all the data set starting from 1 till 10 is equal to 55. So this is what we are able to receive from a while statement. Now, so we talked about a for else, we talked about a for statement, and we talked about a while statement as well. Now, so let's talk about another interesting function that is called as a range function. And many times you are going to use a range function for many different purposes. So let's try to understand this range function, guys, in the first place. So let's try to create one range over here. So range is a function. Range is a predefined function which is available inside a Python. Suppose if I'm going to write range 10, now what will happen? Nothing. So it is just going to give you, yes, 0 to 10. Now what is the meaning of it? So range function is been used to generate a data set in between certain range. So suppose if I have given only one argument inside this range function, so it will try to generate a data starting from 0 till 10. This is what it is trying to say. So range is a kind of function, and in a later stage I will teach you that range is a kind of a generator function. And what is the meaning of generator function? So even I'll talk about that in your 2.1 or 2.1 session, I think. Yeah. So here we have a range function, and here this range function will try to generate a data set in between 0 to 10. Now you can ask me a question that where is the data? You told me that, okay, so range function will try to generate a data set, but here I'm just trying to trying to see a 0 to 10. So I'll show you the data set. But first of all, before that, just try to understand something over here. So range function will try to generate a data set between a 0 to 10, because I have passed argument as a 10, excluding a 10, excluding an upper bound. So it will try to extract a data set. So let's try to understand it. So it will not be able to give you a data. It will just try to give you the object, unless and until you are not going to enclose this data within some of the iterators. So suppose if I'm going to pass this range function inside a list, now you will be able to see the data set. So range is a generator function. So it is trying to generate a data for you, and you will try, if you will try to pass this range inside a list, so you will be able to see the data. Now I have given 10 over here, like I told you. So it will try to start from the 0 till this number that you have given, and it is able to generate a data for me in between 0 to 9. So like I told you, it always excludes an upper bound, just like a list, just like a string index parsing operation. So it is able to generate a data set in between 0 to 9. Now, so range can take a 0 argument, range can take range can take a 1 argument, 2 argument, and 3 arguments. So just like a list index parsing operation. So suppose if I'm going to give 0, 10. So in that case, what will happen? So 0, 10 means what? So 0, 10 means, so I have given a lower bound as well as I have given an upper bound. So this is the lower bound, this is the upper bound, basically. So it will try to generate a data starting from 0, it will go till 10, excluding 10, excluding upper bound. So it will be able to generate a data for me starting from 0 till 9. Now, so I can try to write these things in some different way. So maybe I can try to generate a data into a reverse direction. So yes, I will be able to generate a data into a reverse direction as well. So I have written over here that start from 10 and go till 0, and you are able to see a blank, and same statement that I have made in case of a list. Same, exactly same statements is applicable even over here. So if you know a string, if you know list, so all those operations are available even inside a range function. So what is a reason? What is a possible reason that it is not able to give me a data? The possible reason over here is a same scale concept. So in a scale, I told you that if direction and jump is in the same direction, so in that case, it will be able to give you data. Otherwise, it will not be able to give you a data set. So here, I'm trying to generate a data starting from 10 to 0. So 10 will be somewhere over here in a positive side, and I'm trying to make a jump. So 10 to 0, I'm trying to generate data set. I'm trying to make a jump over here, because by default, even though if I have not written, so by default, the step size will be equal to +1. So it is trying to jump into this direction, and there is a direction conflict, and because of that, so it is not able to generate any kind of a data set. If I'm going to maintain and manage a direction, for sure I will be able to get a data, and this time I'm able to get a data. So here, what happened? So here I was trying to move from 10 to 0, and then I was trying to jump into a negative direction. So yes, both the directions are same. So it is trying to generate a data set from the lower bound. What is the lower bound for me? 10. So start from 10, go to the upper bound. Now what is the upper bound? 0. Like I told you, so it will always try to exclude an upper bound, and that's the reason. So I'm trying to get a data set from 10 to 1, not 0. And same concept, exactly same concept without any changes. We talked about the same thing in case of a list, in case of a string, and exactly the same thing is applicable even over here. Now, suppose if I wanted to generate all the even number. So what I will do in this case, so I can try to write my code in this way. So start from 0, maybe go to 10, and in between, so try to give me all the even number. And yes, I will be able to get all the even number. It's completely fine. I'm able to get it, basically. So here, so it is trying to start from a 0, and it is trying to generate a data set. So first of all, it will generate 0. Now I have given a jump. So jump is 0 plus 2, 2. Jump again 2, 2 plus 2, 4. Jump again 2, 6. Jump again 2, 8. Jump again 2, 10. But what is 10? 10 is upper bound. So in that case, it will not include this data set. It will include just 0 to 8 in this particular case. And this is what we are able to see even in this particular example. So range is a kind of a function or kind of a generator which try to generate a data set based on your given range. You can try to pass one argument. So in that case, it will try to consider that one argument as an upper bound. You can try to pass two arguments. In that case, it will try to consider first argument as a starting point and second argument as a end point. You can try to pass three arguments. So in that case, it will try to consider a lower bound, upper bound, and a step size, basically. And in this way, you will be able to generate any kind of a data set in between. So yes, this is what I'm trying to perform over here. So if you will try to look into this function, so yeah, I'm trying to do the same thing. Now here, if I'll try to explain you, so about this range function. So what is the meaning of this range? So just try to draw the scale. I'm trying to move from 8 to 2. So 8 to 2 means 8 will be somewhere over here. It will be somewhere over here. So starting from 8, going till 2, and then I'm trying to jump into a negative direction. So in this direction, so from right to left, I'm trying to jump, and I'm trying to generate a data set from right to left. So first of all, to generate 8, 8 minus 2, 6, 6 minus 2, 4, 4 minus 2, 2. Now, why it is not going to print 2? Because 2 is upper bound, simple. So in this case, it will not be able to give you the data set. Now let's try to understand based on this range function. So just try to understand uses of this range function. So some of you told me that, okay, so if I have a list, and let's suppose I wanted to extract a data set from a list, but I don't want to extract a data set, maybe I wanted to skip some of the indexes. So if there's a pattern, so you can try to write a pattern inside a range, and then based on the pattern, so you will be able to skip the data set from a list. So to give you this example, so let me talk about this one. So suppose if I'm trying to create a list L, and inside this L list, so I have a data SUDH, and maybe I have a data set KUMAR, maybe I have a data set like ABC, and I have a data set called as XYG, and then I have a data set called as 3,656,67, and all those things. So this is the data set. Now, so from this list, so I wanted to extract a data. I wanted to extract a data from where to where? So I wanted to extract a data maybe from all the even indexes, or maybe from all the odd indexes, or maybe from all the fifth indexes. Possible, any kind of a extraction could be possible over here. So what I will do over here is, so I will try to write a for loop. For I in, I will try to write range. So first of all, I'm trying to extract a data set from a even indexes. So start from a 0 and go till maybe a 10, and then try to generate a data from, or like a go till I can write like a length of this L, and then I have written 2 over here. Now what is the meaning of this? So when I'm trying to write this kind of a range operation, so what will happen? So I have written range 0. So range 0 and then length. Length will always try to return the number of element inside this particular list. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 element I have, and I have written jump is equal to 2. I have written jump is equal to 2. So now what is the data it is going to generate? It is going to generate basically 0. Then it is going to generate 2. Then it is going to generate 4. Then it is going to generate 6. So this is the data set that you will be able to generate out of this particular function. Now, if I'll try to show you that what is the data set that you will be able to generate. So let's try to understand it. So here it will be able to generate this data. So I can try to take this thing separately and maybe I can try to show it to you. So it is going to give me error. So yeah. So as you can see, so it is trying to give me these things. If I'm going to put these things into a list, so I will be able to see the data set. So it is trying to generate 0246 based on this operation. So length of 7, L is equal to 7. Now, so from all the even indexes, I wanted to access the data set. And I know that if I have to access the data set from a list, so I will be able to get a data set from a list by using a index. So from all the even indexes, I have to start the data set. That is fine. So here I can try to write like print the data set from list of all the indexes, even indexes. So I can try to put I over here, because what will be I? So I will be 0, then 2, then 4, and then 6. So here I can try to write length of I, and yes, you will be able to see that from all the even indexes, so I am able to extract a data set, and I'm able to skip all the data set which is available at a odd indexes. So as simple as that. So I'm able to get the data set. Now let's suppose, so I'm telling you, I'm asking you a question that do one thing, try to reverse this entire list without try to reverse this entire list without using a colon -1 function. So this is a task for you guys. So just try to ping me. So what I'm asking you is, so now you know about the range function. So try to reverse this entire list without using this colon function. So I don't want you to use these things. I want you to use a range function, and with the help of that, give me a reverse. So you can take your time, 2 or 3 minutes. I think it should not take more than that much of time, and then try to ping me a code after doing a reversal. In between, I will talk about next example. So next example is same. Next example is based on same thing. So here, what we have is we have a list, and in that list, so I have a pop, rock, jazz, and sapna. Now, so I wanted to extract a data set from this pop, rock, jazz, and sapna, but I wanted to extract a data set only from the even indexes. So this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm going to do, right? So here, I'm trying to write like a for I in range of 0. So range of 0 and then length of a genre and then all those things. Now, what is the meaning of that? So let's try to understand it. So what your range function is going to generate. So your range function is going to generate this indexes. Now, so how it is trying to generate this indexes? So I have written what? I have written range of 0, range of 0. Then I'm writing length of genre. Now, what is genre? Genre is a list. Now, what is the length of that? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4. -1 is equal to 3. So this is what I have written. -1 is equal to 3. And then I have written 2. So what kind of indexes it will be able to generate? So it will be able to generate 2. And then 0 plus 2 is equal to 2. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. 4 is beyond this upper bound condition. And so I have just these two lists, 0 and 2. So I'm trying to extract a data set from the index 0 and from the index 2. This is what I'm talking about. So here I'm trying to call the list, and list of 0 in a first iteration, list of 2 in a second iteration. So I'm able to extract I like pop, I like jazz. I'm able to skip this one and this one. As simple as that. So this is how this range function works, and a range function is pretty much useful, and many times you will be able to write, or you will have to use a range function and to perform a different kind of a data extraction operation, manipulation operation, generating like a kind of an integer. And one more thing, so range function always try to generate a integer, so it will never be able to generate a floating point number. Remember that. And we are going to talk about one library called as NumPy, numerical Python. So it will take some time to cover this NumPy. It will it will come into a picture. So in that numerical Python, you will be able to see that there is a function called as arange. Now, if I'll try to give you a difference between a range and the arange, so range function always try to generate a integer element, whereas arange will be able to generate a floating point number as well. So fine, guys. So this is what I can talk about a range function, and many operations are possible with respect to a range function. So any question, anyone who is having any question or anyone who is able to solve my question, so please you can try to ping me and you can raise your hand. Yes, guys, whoever is able to complete my requirements, you can try to ping me. Okay, so someone has pinged me this one. Yeah, great. So this is what I was looking for. See, someone has given me. So this is Paul Chaudhary. So Paul is able to give me. So yes, this is what I was looking for. So he has taken an empty list, then he has taken one list over here, and without using a colon operation, so he is able to achieve this thing. So he is able to reverse this entire list. So yes, thank you. So you are able to do that. Yeah, so many of you have pinged me this same code. Yeah, so almost everyone is correct. Now, so we'll try to take some questions. So if you have any questions, so please go with your question. I will try to answer.
Hello,
yeah.
sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, if you are using range length of the list in range,
okay, yeah,
we can consider up to last number also, no?
Yes, length means so it will try to give you the total number actually. So suppose so suppose I have this list, right? So suppose this is the list that you have given to me. Now if I'll try to write a length of this list, length of this L, right? So it will be able to give me 6. So it's going to give me total number of elements. So it doesn't depend upon the indexes. Index will start from 0, go till 5, right?
Yes.
But length will give me 6.
Okay, thank you.
Can you please explain for else loop again?
Sorry? Okay, for else loop.
For else loop.
Yeah, so I will talk about this for else loop again over here. I think in this way you will be able to understand it in a better way. So with respect to a break statement, okay?
Okay.
Hi Sudhanshu.
Just wait for some time because after that I'm going to cover break. Yeah.
Can we write a pass statement inside a for loop?
Can we write which statement?
Pass statement inside a for loop.
Pass statement?
Inside a for loop.
No. Which statement? I was not able to get that word.
Pass. PASS.
Okay, so you are saying that
yeah.
I'm going to write for I in L and whether I will be able to write pass or not. So as you can see very clearly that it is possible. You can try this out. Why you are asking this question to me? So don't you have a system as of now with you?
Yeah, I got a doubt. Like
create it, test it then.
Okay.
Ask me some valid doubts, like a bigger one if you are facing some problem. Yeah.
So Danshu, what's the difference between range and X range? Like when we try to range, it gives the list of, and when we're trying, it gives objects. When we use range and X range.
Range and X range. You're talking about. This is what you're talking about.
Yes. Like.
So in this one, so X range is not even possible, right?
Okay. Like when we are using range, it will the output we will get a list.
So simple. Whenever we have to, so our range never gives you a list actually. So range will always give you the object, range object. So RNG, and then suppose if I'm writing 45, so it is just giving me the range object. So range is basically a generator function. So if I'm going to keep it inside the like a list function, so then you will be able to see the list of all the data set starting from 0 to 45 excluding 45, or else what you have to do is, so you can try to write like a for I in range, RNG range, and range maybe 10 you can try to give, and then you can try to print all the data set. So in this way you will be able to start. So range is basically a generator function. Range always generates a data, but to call the data from the range you need some of the iterator function like a list or maybe list function, or maybe you can use a for loop, and by doing that you will be able to extract the data set.
Okay, so where the X range comes into picture?
So X range is not here actually. So X range you will be able to find out in a NumPy section, not here. Okay, A range actually. Yeah.
So then how do we get a list with date range?
So so there is a function available called as a pandas.date_time. So it's available inside the pandas, and with the help of that, so you will be able to get a date range. Yesterday itself I was talking about a pandas in one of my class, and I was able to generate that neural network and then neural network pandas. So I will show you. So see date range. So it will take some time to cover pandas. So when I will cover pandas, then I will talk about this one. So here I am able to generate the date range actually. So date monthly, weekly, yearly, or like based on even a hourly, you will be able to generate a timestamp. Yeah. So this function is already there, but yeah, it will take some time to discuss.
It's part of pandas. Okay.
Yeah, it's part of pandas. Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, next question, please. Anyone? Okay, I'll try to move ahead. So I'll try to discuss. I'll try to talk about a break statement. I think everyone is having a very clear understanding about all those things that we have discussed. Now, so next statement which I am going to talk about is a break statement. So basically, whenever we are trying to talk about this for statement, so we have seen that for will try to iterate over the data set. It will try to extract the data set and then it will try to give it to me. Now, so as you can see over here, so for I in SUDH, we know that it will go to SUDH and index wise extract S, then U, then D, and then H, or if it is having a list. So one by one, it will extract the data set and then give it to me. Simple. And if I wanted to perform some operations, I can do that without any hesitation. So it's completely fine. Now, so here I'm trying to write a for statement and I'm trying to say that, okay, fine. So for val in SUDH and SHU. Now, so whenever it will encounter U in my name, so I'm saying that, okay, so do one thing. If you are going to encounter U, right? So don't try to process the data after that. So stop it. Simple. So don't try to iterate over my data set if you are able to find U inside my data. Or you can write any kind of a condition. I'm just trying to show you one single condition over here. So what will happen in this case? So let's try to understand this entire flow. So it will try to go through this entire data set, S, then U, then D, then H, and all those things. Now here I have written a condition. So if value is equal to U, so first of all, it will start S. So val is equal to S. S is equal to U. No, not at all. So it will print S. That's completely fine. Then it will try to encounter U over here. Now it will try to encounter U over here. Now val is equal to U. U is equal to U. Yes, it's true. Now, once it is true, it will come inside a if statement. Inside the if statement, I have written a break. So break is a kind of a statement which has been used to apply a break on any kind of a loop, basically. So here it will try to break this entire loop. I will say, means it will try to interrupt an entire loop. It will not try to do anything after this. And in that case, I have written for else statement. And I told you that it will be able to execute a else statement if for loop is going to complete itself. If it is going to complete the entire iteration, only and only in that condition, it is going to execute else. If for loop is not going to execute itself completely, it will not come to a else statement. And this is where you will be able to find out a significance of a for and else. So here, let's try to understand it. So let's try to look into this code. So if I'm going to execute it, so you will be able to find out that it is trying to print only S over here. And I told you that, okay, so I have a SUDH and SHU over here. So first it will go to S, it will try to validate it. No, this is not correct. This is not a valid statement. So it will try to print it, as simple as that. Now, second time, it will again go inside this one. It will try to extract U. So U is equal to U, true. And after this statement will be true, so it will come to the body of this statement and it will try to apply a break. Break on what? Break on iteration. It will try to apply. And after that, whatever you have written, it will not try to execute it. And finally, it is trying to coming out of this loop, coming out of this entire statement, entire loop. And then out of this loop, whatever you have written, it will try to execute this one. So it is trying to print the end. If I'm trying to write maybe H over here, so let's try to understand it. So it is going to SUD, and when it will encounter H, so it is trying to apply a break. And after that, it is not going to print anything, not even else. So you will be able to understand that in case of, like a situation when it will not be able to complete an entire for loop. So in that case, it is not coming to the else block. It will come to the else block only in one situation, when it will be able to complete an entire for loop. Now, let's suppose if I'm trying to write over here, let's suppose I'm writing over here X. Now, if I'm trying to execute it, now this time it's completely fine. It is able to print my else statement as well. So print after this loop, because I have mentioned X. X is not there. So for sure, it will never come inside this statement. And if it is not coming inside the statement, for sure, so it will try to complete a for loop naturally, and then it will come to the else statement, and whatever I have written inside the else statement, it will be able to print it. As simple as that. So this is the uses of a for and else. and then so you will be able to understand a break statement as well. So break statement has been used to apply a break in a iteration. Likewise, you will be able to find out a continuous statement. So now let's try to understand that what is the meaning of continue. I talked about a break. Now if I'll talk about a continuous statement, you will be able to understand it. So continuous statement simply means that, so try to continue, but by skipping a current state. So try to continue by skipping a current state. This is the meaning of continue. Now let's try to understand it. So here I have written one string, string. Now I have written this val, so like it's a local variable. So one by one, it will try to extract the data set. So in a first iteration, extract S, then T, then R, then I, then N, and then G. This is what it will try to do. Now here I have written a string. So I am trying to iterate over the data set. In a first check, it will try to validate S is equal to I, false. So it will not go inside this one. It will print S. Then it will try to check T. So value to T is equal to I, again false. So it will try to print it. Again R. So R is equal to I, false. Then it will try to print R. I is equal to I, true this time. It will get inside this continuous statement. It will try to skip the current state. Current state means what? Current state means whatever you have written after this statement means you have written a print statement. So basically it will not try to execute this print statement. It will try to skip a current statement. Immediately it will pass a control to the for loop again. It will not break it, but it will not continue, means whatever you have written after this statement. So it will not try to execute that statement after continuous statement. Whatever you have written, it will not execute it. Simple, pass a control to the for loop again, and it will try to resume from the next element. So then we'll get N. N is equal to I, false. So it will try to print N. G is equal to I, no. So G will try to print over here. So continue is a very simple statement. Continue will always try to pass a control to a loop whenever it will try to encounter a continue, and after continue whatever you have written. So based on the condition, if whatever you have written after the continuous statement, it will not try to execute that one for that current state. So continue always try to continue from the current state, or it will try to skip a current state, you can say. So whatever you have written after continue, it will not try to execute it. As simple as that. So here in this case, I can try to write maybe a else statement. So let's try to see. So maybe I can try to write a for else statement. So print this if loop able to complete itself. Yeah. So here you will be able to find out that, okay, so my for loop is able to complete till, it is able to complete till last. So in this case, it is able to print this else statement. Now suppose if I'm going to change this condition to G. Now in this case, again, you are able to see that my for loop is able to go till last element. So it is able to iterate till last element, and that's the reason. So it is falling inside a else statement. So again, you will be able to validate and you will be able to verify over here that if it is able to complete this entire statement, so it is going to print else. Otherwise, it will not try to print else. Meaning of continue is very simple. So whenever it will encounter a continue, it will pass a control to the loop itself. It will not try to execute whatever you have written after that. And meaning of break is very simple. So if you are going to apply a break, it will not execute anything after that. And in that way, so if you have written else statement, so it will not try to come to the else statement because you have not executed all the data which is available inside a for statement. So that is a meaning of this continue and then a break statement, and I can say a for statement. Now the next statement which I'm going to talk about is called as a input. So there are many ways to pass an input to your program, and whenever you will go for the production grade system, so at that point of a time, so you are sometimes supposed to take input from maybe some APIs, maybe from a console, maybe from some other applications. So there are many ways to get a data input from in a program. So here in this situation, I'm going to talk about only one condition. So I'll talk about an argument parser as well. I'll talk about almost all set of possibilities, but here, so I'll talk about only one just as a starter. So there is a function called as input, INPUT. input. So if you are going to write input, so it will always look for the input from your side. So if I'm going to give some input, it's completely fine. It is going to print it over here. Now, whatever input I'm looking for, so I can try to store those inputs into a variable, or maybe I can try to pass those inputs in a runtime. So if I'm writing that, okay, fine, so print and print your input here in console, and then I can try to write a over here. Now it will ask me for the input, and yes, it is able to print my data set. So I'm able to pass whatever like an input I'm going to take from my data, so I'm able to pass it over here. So in the similar way, suppose if I'm looking for input from a for statement, right? Input for a for statement, I can write it basically. So suppose if I'm looking for maybe a list from your side, I can try to do that. There is no problem. But here you will be able to encounter a certain problem. So let's try to understand it. So whenever system is going to take an input from your side by using a function called as input, so here you will be able to find out that it is going to convert. Suppose like I'm trying to talk about the input over here, and if I'll try to check a type, so type, so if I'm going to execute it, it will ask me for the input. I have made a mistake, spelling mistake. Yeah, so it is going to ask me for the input. I'm going to pass a integer, but if I'll try to execute it, you will be able to find out string. So whenever you are going to use a function called as input, it is going to convert everything into a string. So suppose everything without any exceptions, even if you're going to pass a list, it will convert into a list in a string itself. So everything will be converted into a string, and if you try to check the signature, so read a string from the standard input, and it always says that, okay, fine, so I'm going to return you a string. It is going to return nothing but just a string for you. So suppose if I'm looking for an integer, so in that case, I'm supposed to do a typecasting. So what I will do, suppose if I'm looking for the integer, so in that case, I will be able to do a typecasting. So whatever input is coming into a picture, so I'm saying that just do one thing. So try to typecast it. So try to typecast into integer. So if I'm going to pass these things, now I will be able to convert it. So I'm trying to take the inputs, I'm trying to check the data type, and yes, this time it's basically a integer input which I'm able to get. So this is how this input is going to work. So we are going to use input many more times going forward, and we will try to see, we'll try to understand many kind of a manipulation, and even going forward I will tell you. So input is having a problem, so it is going to convert every data set into a string. Now, so I will show you even a function, so which will not able to convert a data set into a string. Whatever data set you are going to insert, it will try to take a data set as it is, and then you will be able to utilize those data sets. So I'll talk about those things in a future classes, but for today, so this is discussions that I was supposed to do. So now if anyone is having any questions based on a discussion that we have done, so you can try to raise your hand. I will try to clarify your doubts. Yeah, go ahead with your doubts.
Yeah,
can you please help me out with the element reversal again?
Sorry, can you please speak louder?
Can you please show the element reversal again?
Someone is asking a question, ma'am, right? So it will be better if you can give time to other people. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So can you please help me again in the element reversal which you just show us?
Element reversal. So the question which I have given it to you.
No. The element reversal which you show us. The prior to this.
This colon minus one.
No. The for loop, the nested for loop which you performed.
The nested for loop.
Yeah.
What?
This one?
No, before this.
Nested for loop. So there is a for loop inside the for loop, right?
No. In that element reversal in the list which you did.
So even over there, I was trying to do element reversal. So which one you are talking about?
When you have a combination of.
What is your question? Just tell me a question. I will try to write a code again. That is not a problem. What is your question?
If I have a list of different data types, maybe a number, maybe a name, and
okay.
I want to reverse the element in a list.
Okay. So you will be able to do that. That's fine. So I just have to write a condition for that one. And for the integers, of course, you will not be able to reverse it because integer is not like for the integers. So it is not possible to do a data iteration operation, right?
Yeah.
So where is the problem? So I'm not able to understand that. Have you tried writing a code?
Basically, which you in the first code which you just show to us.
Okay.
When you print out a different list inside a list, and then you reverse the element inside the list.
No. Have you tried a code? Are you
tried.
facing any issue with the code? Ping me your code. I'll fix it immediately.
Okay.
I'll fix it and give it to you.
I'll
yeah.
just do it.
Sir,
Okay. This one is the code. Biswa, right? Okay. Fine. Next question, please.
Sudhanshu, I don't understand.
Is it possible to have if conditions in while loop?
Sorry?
Is it possible to have if conditions in while loop?
Yes, sir. So it is possible actually. So you can write if condition anywhere, inside a for loop, a standalone, or inside a while loop, or inside anywhere. So wherever you have to check something, right? You can write a if statement, and then you will be able to work with that. So you can try this out. So just so guys, every one of you, so just try out the code. If you're facing an issue, ping me the code. I'll fix it immediately. It will not even take a second.
What is the difference between and
Use the input function.
Okay, so it will be better if you guys can ask a question one by one. I will try to answer. If you are going to create a chaos, I would prefer to put you in a mute. Yeah, go ahead with your question.
So what do you mean by typecasting, sir?
Typecasting means, so I'm if I have a string, if I wanted to convert this into an integer, or suppose if I have a integer, if I wanted to convert into a string, that is called as typecasting.
Okay, sir.
Hi, Sudhanshu. When should we use the raw input function and when should we use the input function?
Raw input and input? No, there is nothing called as raw input, right?
Raw
input function.
Input.
Okay, raw underscore input means, so suppose if you are looking for only a data in the exact format, basically. Suppose, so in case of input function, what happens is, so if I'm going to pass a data inside input function, so can I say that it is able to convert everything into a string, right? So basically, even if I'm going to pass an integer, it is converting into a string. Raw input will try to give you a data exactly. So if you are going to insert integer, it will try to give you integer. This is what I was talking about. So I will talk about this raw input function in a future classes. And that's the reason I told you. So I will talk about even those functions by which you will be able to get an exact input. It will not convert into a string, because if it is converting into a string, so for sure you will have to do a typecasting according to your data set that you are looking for.
Sudhanshu, when we use for else, can we consider else being a part of the for itself, like if else?
I think this is what I was talking about, right? More than 10 times. Yeah. So for is not a else statement is not a kind of a if statement. So it's basically a part of your for. I think this is the same statement I have iterated many times.
When we use break, one last. When we use break, that will totally come out of the for loop itself, right?
Yeah, that will totally come out of the loop actually.
Thank you.
Sudhanshu, can you please?
Which loop is convenient to use, for loop or while loop? Which loop is convenient for use?
So depends upon you, sir. So if you are comfortable with the while loop, use while loop. If you are comfortable with the for loop, use for loop. I don't have any objections. I just want to get my answer. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Means out of the both, we can use anyone that we want, right?
Yes, you can use anyone, and you will be able to achieve your target.
Comparison between the both.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's any use case where we use for else specifically?
I think this is the use case I'm talking about, right?
Hi, Sudhanshu. I have two questions. The syntax of the range function for while loop, can you please show that?
Syntax for the while syntax. So basically, what while does is, so while always try to check the condition, right? So anyhow, you will have to write a condition first of all, and inside the while loop, so you are supposed to call basically a range. Or
so
you are.
If we want to use the range function in a while loop, so how can we use it?
So here in a body of while loop, you will be able to use it, because while always try to check the condition, right? While always try to check the condition. So in a body, not here, not like a for loop.
Another question, for submitting our assignments, we have to create different notebook files for every question, or in a same
notebook. Sir, tell me how many times I should clarify this question, because in a doubt clearing session more than 50 times I've clarified. In our second class I have clarified. Second class when I was talking about assignments, are you not clear about that?
No,
even in mail, so I got hundreds of mail and I clarified the same thing. So just tell me, where is the confusion? Where is the doubt exactly in submitting assignments?
like we have 7 questions in our first assignment, right?
Yes,
so for every question we have to create a different notebook, or
have I told that you have to create a different notebook? I told you that one assignment, one notebook you have to submit, and same link you are supposed to submit in a dashboard, right? This is the same statement I made.
Okay,
yeah.
Thanks.
So
Sudhanshu, for loop is simple by syntax, right? Than while loop. So we can use that
Yes,
frequently.
depends upon your use cases, what you're trying to achieve. So you can use any loop.
Yeah, but by this now we can understand that for loop is easier than while loop.
Yes, generally people use as a for loop. Yes,
Sudhanshu, in
sir,
print
I have
function,
sent.
we use once again in print function we use /n/t and all, right?
Yes.
What are the other options? What are the other options available by?
/n/t or a /d you will be able to use. There are many more like
Where do we find that? What are the options available?
Just try to use /t and /n, and again try to create your own separator if you want. You can use hashtag, you can use @ symbol, you can use some string as well in between. Whatever separator you are looking for, so you will be able to use it.
Hello, sir. I have 2 questions. Like
Yeah.
I have sent you the code first, like regarding that list table. Sir, can you please check it?
What is your name?
Sir, Umang.
Umang. So where you have sent me a code?
Sir, I have pinged you again.
Okay, I got your code. Okay, yeah. Yes. So what is the problem with that, Umang?
No, sir, no problem. I just want to check. And next question is, sir.
Why you have pinged me this code then, man? I'm not able to understand if there's no problem.
Sir, sorry. Sir, next question is, sir, in your assignment, like if you are giving the question, then sir, output is not given. Like which manner should be print?
Try to understand the assignment. It's for you, right? So I'm like expecting that you have those understanding. You will try to understand the assignment and then try to do solutions, right? And if you are facing any problems, you can ask those questions in a doubt clearing session.
Okay,
so what
sir.
my expectation is.
Okay.
Sudhanshu,
Okay,
can you
so
please?
Biswa has pinged me this code. So Biswa, what is our problem with this code? May I know?
Sudhanshu, Ishwar here. I pinged your code. Could you please check?
Yeah, Biswa. So okay.
No, there is no
Biswa?
problem. Yeah, Bivas here actually. Yeah, there is no problem actually. You asked the assignment, so I did in some other way. Instead of adding in the list, I did it in 2 lines.
Okay, Iswar has pinged me a code. What is the problem with this code, Iswar?
I'm getting an error here. List
Error?
out of
Okay.
range. Yeah.
Yeah, fine, not a problem. So -1. None?
Okay.
Range that you have given basically. So length will give you what? Length will give you the total number of element, right?
Yes.
But can I say that a range starts from a -1? So like 0. If I have a 5 element.
But length of L is going to give me the number of
total number of element, right?
So it is
index starts from where? So actually there is a column over here, right? So it will try to extract the indexes where the element is not available.
Okay.
Index start from 0.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Suppose if I have a 6 element, so index will start from 0 to 5, right? But total length is going to give you 6, right?
Yes.
So it will try to extract the 6th element which is not even available on the indexes. That's the reason you were getting a problem. Okay.
Sudhanshu,
Wait, sir. Wait, I'll come back to you. Next code has been pinged by Nissa. So okay, NISHA. Okay, yeah, Nisha. So what is your problem over here? Nisha?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
It's throwing an error. So is there a code
Is it?
error? Yeah.
Okay, expected indentation. It's ma'am indentation error that you have made. So now it will be fixed. See?
Oh,
It's working.
okay. All right. Thank
Just
you.
see if I'm going to remove something or if I'm going to make some mistake, right? So error, it should tell me that what is the error and where is the error. There is an error over here, right?
Yeah, I've
Just
tried
telling me.
everything, but for my end, it was not working.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay,
Just
thank
make
you.
and indentation wise, just hit enter. It will try to give you like where you should write a code. Just hit
Okay.
enter. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Sudhanshu,
Okay, next code. Wait. Looking through everyone's code. Actually, whoever has pinged me a code. So I'm just trying to encourage you that you will start writing a code in this way. So SAM, Samrat. Samrat, where is the problem? Who's your code, Samrat? What is your problem?
I'm trying to see
By B name.
You are not audible.
Can I do
String rot again.
Sorry? No, what is the problem? I'm not able to understand it. Okay, Lenovo has pinged me one code. Let me check a Lenovo's code. Yeah, Lenovo. So, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Lenovo. So, what is the problem with your code?
Sir, I have to replace B with A in my name. So what can I do after continue statement?
So, with B with A.
Yes.
So, okay, so B with A, so you will have to reconstruct the string again because string is an immutable element. I'll talk about this in the next class. So you will not be able to replace anything in a particular indexes directly. So you will have to iterate over to it and reconstruct the string. Okay, because the string is an immutable element. I'll talk about mutability and immutability in your next classes. Okay, fine. Yeah, guys. So like, any questions? Anyone?
Dhanshu, can you please explain the question that you asked to reverse the list? So can you please explain it on the basis of scale, because I was not able to understand how the iteration happens. Like it's written length of L -1, comma -1, comma -1. So I am little confused.
Which one? Which
The
statement?
question that you asked for everyone to solve.
Yeah, reversal
Okay.
question.
See, most of you are able to understand it, right? And
No,
you
no,
have
the
given an
one
answer.
that in solution, there's some, you got a solution from
Yes.
someone.
Yeah. So almost
Same
everyone
question.
has implemented the same thing. So just try to understand that. You can ask me this question next time in a doubtful session. By that time, I'm giving you time. Just try to explain me in a doubtful session. Okay.
The thing is, like, if I write L5 -1
Try
-1,
to
I'm getting
explain me. Try to explain me that code in your doubtful session. Yeah. Okay. So I'm giving you a time because see, most of you are able to understand it, right? And they have pinged me a code. More than 50, 60 people have pinged me a code actually for the same thing. Yeah.
Sudhanshu, Archana here.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have a hundred list. Like in the list, we have 100 numbers.
Sudhanshu,
You are not audible, sir. You are not audible.
Sudhanshu, is it possible to have a step size for in the for loop?
So what is that size?
Step size.
Yeah, step size you can do it, right? So with the help of range function, you will be able to implement the step size. I think this is
Not
the
without
example.
the range function.
Yeah, so this is what, without the range function, you will not be able to do that. So in that case, you will have to write a condition then inside the for loop. This is what I have done, right? So I was trying to, because for loop just try to iterate, right? So I can try to create the step size based on the like a total number of inputs. Simple. So fine, guys. So I think like this is it from today's class, and one more announcement for you. So we have already released a curriculum for NLP with a computer vision and deep learning, deep learning with a computer vision and NLP. So you can just try to go through that curriculum. I have already sent you a mail as well, so you can try to go through that mail if you are interested. So you can start doing the enrollment, as most of you have already enrolled for that batch as well. That is going to start from 8:30, and I kept this time in such a way that you will be able to attend a morning classes plus this classes, so that you will be free, you will be available after afternoon. So will not kill your Saturday, Sunday for sure, because I know that most of you have plans, and that's the reason. So class timing is 7:30 to 9:30. So yes, as we know that NLP, deep learning and computer vision is important. So there are like a 3 to 4 stack which should be very much clear to make a transition into a data science, machine learning, NLP and deep learning and computer vision. Reinforcement learning is not important, but yeah, so these stacks are important, and that's the reason. So like I have included entire stack this time in this curriculum. Previously I have launched a deep learning batches which is already going on, and in that I have not covered NLP. So I'm covering just a deep learning and computer vision. But yeah, like it's again too extensive, but your courses is again it's very extensive, and that will be for 5 months. So if you can do it parallelly, so I think it will be beneficial for you, because within a 5 months you will be able to cover this as well as this, and then whatever intensive you are going to do, so it will be based on both combinedly. So, and certificate wise, you will be able to get 2 certificates. So deep learning into a computer vision and deep learning into with the help of NLP. So, and plus in machine learning, so for sure you will be able to get as a certificate. So drop me a message, drop me a mail. So if you have any concerns, and I have already updated all of your assignments as well. So try to attempt your assignments, try to do a permutation combination. That's a best way. Don't waste your time. So try to go through my lectures if you have a time. So try to complete it in a fast track, so that you will be ready for a job switch, because this is the final objective. If you are able to learn it, it's fine, but unless and until you're not able to switch a job, you're not successful. So I don't want that to be happen. So, and this is what like I used to do in every batches. I used to push people a lot from my side as much as possible, so that you will be able to make a transition. So just try to like complete it in a fast track, classes for sure, like we are going to conduct in this way, and in a smoothest possible way, by taking all the queries, by taking like all the permutation combination, so that you will feel confident, you will not feel confused. And whether it's a machine learn, whether it's a Python, or whether it's a APIs, or whether it's a databases, or whether it's a statistics, or whether it's a machine learning, whether it's a deployment, whether it's a chatbot for you, so everything will be covered in this smoothest possible way. And yeah, uploaded videos are already uploaded inside your dashboard, and even this videos will be available within 24 hours. So before tomorrow's like a 10 a.m. so it will be available inside your, or maybe by night itself it will be available. And I will keep on giving you few more tasks from my side. Assignment is one thing, it's upgraded, you can keep on trying this assignment. If you have any concern question, drop me a mail with respect to that assignment number and all those things, and then I will try to revert back within 24 hours. Sometime it will take 36 hours, so like because I used to reply from your dashboard, so sometime it takes time for me, because if I'm not free, or if I'm not able to get the time, 36 hours. But yeah, I always try to like reply within 24 hours. I think all of you guys are able to get a reply as well from my side. Now apart from that, so if you feel that okay fine, so there is some feedback, or like there is some improvement that we should do, or we should add this part or that part inside this chapter or that chapter, so all the feedbacks are always welcome. So I keep on increasing my syllabus, I keep on like adding new things if I feel that okay this is important, because there is nothing which we can't do, or there is nothing which we can't add, and there is nothing which we can't discuss. It's like a ground rule is this one, that we can discuss, we can talk about each and everything in terms of any concept. So like nothing is impossible for us, so we can do that. So if it is feasible, we'll for sure try to accommodate your requirements. And yeah, and yes, try to practice, don't waste your time. So it's a waste time for us that most of you are quarantined and like self quarantine, and then you are at home. So try to utilize this time. Don't try to like drag these things for a 6 month or 1 year. If you are like willing to switch for the job, do it now. This is the best time that you will be able to get, and just try to utilize even each and every seconds of your like a timing. And yeah, let's see how it goes. And yes, I'm assuming that it will always go into a very good direction. And I think this motivational speech is enough for today. So again, see you everyone in a Thursday class. Thursday is basically a doubt clearing session. So bring all of your doubts, whatever concern, whatever confusion you have, whatever permutation combination you wanted to try it and show me on a Thursday's class. And it is just a doubt clearing session, so I will try to clarify all of your doubts. If you have some problem with the code, I'll try to fix it. But yes, first of all, try to fix a code from your side. Unless and until you are not trying harder, for sure it's nothing for me. I can fix it within a second or within a minute, but it's for your learning. Try to do a research. So like I told you, I can discuss, I can talk about everything, but if you are not able to do it from your end, it will be your loss. And this is what I'm looking for. So yeah, see you again, and just utilize your time. Don't waste your time at all. Thank you so much. See you again in next class.